So Maxim Lapierre, you had your first practice with Lugano, the team that you already played for last year. How was it for you today?
It was unreal. Really happy to be back. It was a special feeling today to see the guys again. And like I said earlier to the media, it's always special when you have a group and you play all the way to the finals. They always create a special relationship. You know, it's not just teammates now; it's a family. It become friends. So that's. We're really happy to be back here, me and my family. And like I said yesterday, when we flew and we arrived in Milan and we arrived today at the hotel, we felt like we were coming back home. It was a good feeling, and we're really happy to be here.
During the off-season, we were reading reports that your priority was to come back to Lugano if you couldn't make it into the NHL. Why is that? What did you find here that is so special for you?
Well, first of all, it's unfinished business. I wanted to have the chance to come win that championship, and it's everything, you know. When our whole life as a hockey player, you travel, you play for teams, and obviously every place is a good place to play hockey. But there's always that special place where the teammates are great, the organization is great, the fans are been unbelievable to me, and obviously, like you know, the city is paradise here, right? So it's everything was clicking, everything was perfect for me and my family, and we were just praying we would have the chance to come back.
You accepted a tryout to the Rangers, knowing that it was difficult for you to land that four-line center spot. There were Nathan Gerby fighting for that spot, and Josh Joris. Oscar Lindberg was set to come back in November. Did you already have a plan B to come back to Lugano before being cut to the Rangers, or you started to talk to Lugano after the Rangers let you go?
Well, I think when we reached August in the summer, my focus was to try to create a surprise with the Rangers. I went there, I had a really good training camp, but you know, like me, there's a lot of players in the NHL, so there was no room for me. And I would say 30 minutes after I got cut from the Rangers, the phone just starting ringing from teams from KHL and from Switzerland, and I was asking every team to give me a week to think about it, because I knew that, or I was hoping that Lugano just called back and offered me something. And as soon as they called back, I just deleted every other number in my phone and focused on negotiating with them, and it worked really well.
You said that if there weren't a spot for you anymore in the NHL, you wanted Alain Vigneault to tell you that. How was that moment for you in New York with him?
Well, simple. I think when you know a coach like that, the communication is easy, and he just called me and said that, listen, you had a really good camp. If you need anything from me, or you need a coach to talk to me to get a job, I'm always there for you. And I think it wasn't a matter of my performance on the ice. It was a matter that they had so many players. Even yesterday, I think they sent guys a one-way contract. They sent guys in the American Hockey League, guys like Tanner Glass and Nathan Gerby. So you can see that there's a lot of people for one job, and it's not a bad news for me. I ended up coming back here in a place I really like.
I have a last one, more general. In the NHL, it was, the four line was always a physical line for players like you. Right now, the direction that the game is going is having a four line with skill, with speed. We see the Rangers that have like Brandon Peary or Grabner in the fourth line. What do you think about how the game is changing in these years?
I think it's always a trend. The team that wins the Stanley Cup always sets the profile for next season a little bit. If you remember 4 or 5 years ago, it was the LA Kings. It was all about being big and strong. So the teams were building teams to try to compete with LA. Now Chicago, Pittsburgh won the last few years, so now the teams are trying to adjust to be all speed and skills. I can guarantee you in 2-3 years it's going to come back to being big and strong, because the strong team is going to be the fast team next year. And it's always like that. The hockey is a wheel. There's changes, there's everybody adapts, and there's also things that are recycled. There's old system and old players that are useful in the future and in the past, you know.
And last year you came here in a period where your style of play was ideal to have an impact. You have a huge impact. Now you're here in October. What do you think you can bring to a team in Switzerland during a whole season?
I think I consider myself like a complete player. I think I can play good defensively, but I also think I can bring a lot offensively. I had some good season in the American Hockey League, putting up points. I scored 15 goals in the NHL one year, so I would hope it wasn't just luck. I think I can bring that back, and Last year, even if I had fun and all that, it was still considered a year to adapt for me because it was my first year in Europe. It was my first year on the big ice, and I felt like every game, even in the playoffs, I was learning things. You know, little plays that you don't see in the NHL, and how to use the wider ice and all that. And I think this year, after a few games, I'm still going to improve. But I'm hoping I'm going to have a good season.
Max, I suppose the most happier man to have you back here is Doug Shedden. How do you deal with him?
Well, it was a main part where I wanted to come back to that I forgot to mention earlier is the work that Pat and Doug Shedden are doing. They're unbelievable coach. You know, these guys are NHL quality coaches, and I think we should consider ourselves lucky to have them in Lugano with us because both of them, Doug and Pat, are phenomenal at explaining, and they have a great system, so it's fun to be part of that.
You know, he wanted to keep you here during the summer. You wanted to stay here during the summer. Were you a bit disappointed by the club that didn't choose to keep you here immediately?
Yeah, yes and no. Obviously, I wanted to come back, but you always understand the business side of things. There's always things that the team need at the moment, and there's always changes during the season. So I knew it wasn't over here. I knew that at one point they were going to give me the call again, even if it would have been just next year maybe. But now I'm really happy to be here, and I'm going to work so hard to prove that they did a good signature.
You said you talked with even another Swiss team. Could you imagine to play for another Swiss team?
Yes and no. It would have been weird a little bit to come back here with all the special feelings we had last year. I mean, like I said earlier, like it's special. Like when you leave the NHL, you don't know anything about Europe, and in the NHL, the fans are, especially in Montreal where I started my career, the fans are unreal. They yell for you, they're loud for you, and when you leave the team, you don't know if you're going to live that again in your life. And well, it was a good surprise for me last year when I came, and you hear the fans here, they're so loud, they're so into it, and like I said, it's a privilege for me to have the chance to play in front of those fans.
Yeah, that's quite strange. I follow Lugano for some years now, and I never saw the crowd being so close to a player like you in just some weeks. How to explain it?
It's special. That's all I have to say. It's the main reason why I guess I feel like I'm home right now. It's like there was an instant connection. The people from Lugano, I think, are hard worker, proud people, and I consider myself a hard worker that's really proud to represent a logo on the jersey, and I feel we can compare and relate each other.
You just came. I don't know if you are ready to answer the question. Do you feel this team is stronger than last year?
Well, from what I've seen on paper, yeah, we got some new players in the team that are really good players, and our young guys are getting better every game. So I don't see why it would not be another special year for us.
6 imports, not an easy task for Doug Shedden, even for you to accept to maybe to play and not to play.
It's part of the game. You ask a hockey player, we're never stressed out about that because there's always intern competition, and that means you get a good team. Because if you don't have extra good players, that means your team is not that deep. And here we're lucky. We got a good team. We got a lot of good players. Even the one that are not playing can play anytime, and they're really good. So, like I said, it's going to be a fun and a good year.
Last question. Last year, so close to the title. Would you bet this year 1 francs on Lugano Swiss champion?
Of course, for sure. I think every team has to go through something like that. You have to lose a really tough loss to learn how to win, and we did it last year. It was really tough. I still remember being there on the corner and trying to digest that loss against Bern, but I think everybody grew out of it, and we're ready to face some big challenge again.